Just in case you're keeping score at home, this is episode 136 of the A Game from the Share Universe Studios in Red Bank, and happy to have this man back after 3 years away.
And I'm looking at the monitor here, and we're half the men we used to be.
As a matter of fact, I'm glad you brought that up. Photo number 2, just to give you an idea. My guest is Mike Farragher, who is a
Do you have
very
a before and after?
There's the before.
Whoa.
Now this was put it up one more time. Let it linger for a little bit.
Let's linger there.
Yeah. Now,
I look like the guy that ate Mike Farragher in that picture.
I definitely look like I swallowed something I shouldn't have swallowed.
You swallowed a Rob Acampora is what
right.
you did.
I mean, and to your credit, how much weight are you down?
Well, I was down as much as 50 pounds, and now I'm down 45, so I gave 5 pounds back. But the interesting thing is I've kept that off for almost a whole year, like within a pound.
Amen.
It's been great. So it's been, and congratulations to you too. How much have you lost?
90. I didn't plan on this. It was totally like I started rolling, and then literally my doctor motivated me to try to get under 200 pounds. So for the first time since I was 22, I'm under 200.
Oh my God, that was confirmation. But I think it's great, and I love that I'm back on the A Game, and it's people achieving goals, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's the
everybody's got a story to tell.
That's the essence of this podcast. So it was really important that and thanks for taking. I asked to come on because we had such a great conversation last time around goals and whatnot that I thought, knowing you've lost weight, I've lost weight, and the process that got us here, I thought that would be a great conversation.
And I held off. I have not even talked about this on my own podcast because I just figured, I was watching just what you were posting on social media, and I'm going through this thing that I'm going through in my life where it's like, okay, what triggered this was more health reasons than it was anything else. I'm literally having migraines for about a week. My blood pressure hit 200. It was bad.
Whoa.
Yeah, it was literally like I'm under the tube, and I can joke about it now and just basically say, they found a brain. Okay, there's good news, But thankfully, no aneurysm. Right. But it was also finding out little things like my body doesn't break down sodium like it used to. Water was consuming in my body. It had to come out. So we had to force it out, literally high diuretics for 3 weeks. So that jumped about 18 pounds of water, literally 18 pounds of water weight came off.
Wow.
Yeah. And the rest of it was just working with a nutritionist and realizing there's certain foods I really shouldn't have. It's really trying to stay tuned, not even call it a diet, just kind of, this is the lifestyle I have to live. And I'm sure you losing 45, you kind of feel the same way with what your habits have become now as opposed to what they were.
Well, yeah. And it's interesting because it sounds like you had something biological going on.
Absolutely,
where you said, okay, what's the source of me putting on all this weight?
Exactly.
Mine was more emotional and how I process stress, which was I had to get to the source of, it's one thing to say, okay, I have to lose weight.
Right.
But then you have to go back to like, well, how did you get this way to begin with? And in your case, it sounds like it was a biological diagnosis.
Biological, but also some of what you're probably going to say I'm going to agree with because I wound up dealing with the mental aspects of why I ate as much as I did.
Yes.
So it was not only what I was eating, it was how much I was eating, which was sort of the light went on finally and went, oh my God, where food was a crutch. And I don't know if it was for you where it's like, I'm happy. I want to celebrate. I want to eat. I'm really depressed. I'll dive into a half a gallon of ice cream and not even blink.
Yeah. Well, I think mastering that, I mean, most people on the outward side was like, oh my God, you probably get this too. Like, oh my God, you lost so much weight. You look great.
Yeah.
And I'm proud of that. But I'm also really proud of what I've done in the inside, emotionally and getting to the source, like I said, of why did you put the weight on to begin with?
Exactly.
And, no time like the present, folks. We can talk about the new book, Broetry in Motion.
As a matter of fact, photo number 1 to get a closer look at it.
Look at that. I mean, we're not even 5 minutes in and we're promoting something.
Well, you got a lot to promote. Mike Farragher's book will be available now, or is it now?
It's available now.
Very good.
Yep, it's available now.
MikeFarragher.com, they can go to the website and purchase it that way.
Thank you. Yeah. So, the one thing that I discovered was I'm a stress eater. And for the last 25, 30 years, I've been in the life sciences pharma space at a VP level.
Right.
And, sales and quotas and things like that, just operating at a high performance level. Then I also do all my creative stuff. And then, recently I've had to deal with managing my aging parents and just making sure that I do everything I can with my brother. Shout out to mom and dad to land the plane with dignity. So,
and how old are your parents, by the way?
My dad's 91 and my mom's going to be 85.
God bless him.
Yeah, God bless him indeed. So if you look at all of that collectively, I was processing stress that I knew I had and stress I didn't know I had, and just eating. And eventually I got to the point where I, like you, were starting to get unhealthy. So what I did, it was kind of a multi-pronged approach. The first one is I just put the same structure I have to write, I put on my health. So
That's
I'm
smart.
in the
That's
gym.
a smart
I'm in the
approach.
gym every day. I'm swimming. It's 600 calories a day. No rocket science there.
Right.
I also am on a weight loss drug.
Okay.
So that was allowed me to manage the cravings and reduce the food noise, which was miraculous. So it's the good old-fashioned way. It's using modern technology, and people are like, "Oh, that's cheating." It is cheating. I cheated death. I cheated
Amen.
diabetes. I cheated, hopefully, hip replacements. I mean,
Right.
It's like I say all the time. It's like, well, you use modern technology. You don't fax somebody an invitation to come on your podcast. You text them, right?
That's
I mean,
what
this
you
is
do.
modern
Absolutely.
technology. So, and people have their own health journeys, and people will make that right or wrong, whatever. But the third part of this is getting to the source of what had you become unhealthy. And what I found was I started to do daily journaling. And somewhere along the way, the daily journaling became poetry.
Wow.
And what I was doing at the end of this year is I was just doing a year in review, and I was just handwriting this down. Every day I was writing something, and it was very meditative to have the pen scratch the paper and
Right.
just taking that time for yourself to do that.
Right.
And then eventually I had, 365, 400 poems, and I started to read them back at the end of the year, and I thought, oh, that's clever.
Yeah.
That's all right. But that's not Yeats. That's not Seamus Heaney. That's not the Irish poets. That's not poetry. That's broetry. And I was like, it's broetry.
So that's where the terminology comes in. And the great thing,
Literally.
which you've done in the book, by the way, he actually gives it a definition, which, if I may indulge, because I think it kind of sums it up a little bit. And broetry steals from everywhere, privileges freely, and breaks rules without even penetrating to feel bad about it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, obviously, as you say, inventing your own genre had to be this feeling of like, wow, I didn't expect this, but it felt great. It had to feel great that it came about.
It was just, what is this? Because
Right.
I was writing all this, and I thought, well, it's not poetry. Maybe it's broetry. And then when I invented my own lane, I was able to give myself grace to say, actually, some of this is good. Out of the 365 poems or whatever it was, a few hundred of them were garbage. And then the ones that I thought, well, that's clever or whatever, I kept and put to that one side. And then when I started to type it, I thought, well, this is the story of a typical guy on the wrong side of 55, right, managing job loss, managing corporate cuts, managing life changes, managing your aging parents. And I thought, this is a journey that I'm sure other people are going through as
Absolutely.
well. And sometimes if you read something or if you hear something and people could identify themselves in that, I thought maybe at the very least, like my goal for this would be for somebody to go, yeah, same. You know what I mean? Just same.
But I get the feeling this was sort of a happy accident. This was not really
Totally.
intentionally going to be a book.
Nobody's more surprised that I'm sitting here in this chair than I
Right.
am, because I didn't think there was going to be a book. I didn't think there was a book. And I will tell you, on Monday, I finished recording the audiobook.
Right.
And that was yet another revelation because I had never read these out loud.
So that was the first time as you're doing the audio book.
I read it cold. Wow. And I was like, oh, wow, I had to interpret them or I had
Right.
to read them out loud. And in some cases, I actually got like moved.
Right. It's really hitting you it's hitting you harder.
It's hitting so it was thoroughly. I recorded an audiobook for one of my previous books, and it was hard work. I mean, my wife, shout out to Barb, friend of yours as well.
As a matter of fact,
works for the same company. She's a radio DJ.
Mm-hmm.
She's also a voiceover artist. She's a premier voiceover artist. And I had a new appreciation for what you guys do when you voice commercials or when you're doing, an audio. She does some audio narrations as well to keep an energy level up. I never knew what a voice actor was.
Right.
Now I know.
So she was actually helpful in this process.
She didn't have anything to do with it, but I'm saying, like, as I went through this process myself,
gotcha. Now you start to
I have
really
a new appreciation for what you guys do.
Right.
And it really is like, even if you're selling a product, you're connecting. It's one thing to be a radio guy, but then when you're doing those voice commercials or things like that, you're taking somebody's brand or you're taking somebody else's idea and putting it out there in an advertisement. That takes some skill that I didn't realize was that was a skill. And now that I had to do it myself, I have a new appreciation for it. But this was, I got to really interpret and process those things all over again.
Mm-hmm.
And I found the audiobook experience this time around was thoroughly enjoyable.
Good.
I got moved along the way by it,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm hoping that as people read this and maybe buy the audiobook, they'd feel the same way because as you get into the wrong side of 55, you're going through things.
Yeah, no, that's the one thing I get. There is definitely, if you read the poem, you're on the ride with Mike, is the best way of putting it. And you're going, and there's different sections of this, and it literally goes from faith to Ireland. You're going into communication and so many other things. Aging is another part of this. And I'm going to give a couple examples. I mean, I don't want to give away too much because I want people to go buy the book, but I figure if you get a little of an example, I mean, you got one poem here that says it right on the top, God's plan. And I love the ending. This phase will pass soon. I've written the eulogies. God's plan has no flaws.
Yeah.
And I do believe that. And as I'm getting older, I'm noticing the more faith you have, the more things start to come to you. When you believe in, and everybody's got their own opinions as far as that goes. But I think when I started to lose faith, and we talked about this 3 years ago, when I really felt lost a little bit. Now it's like, as I go through what I went through mentally and physically with everything, getting physically better, but getting mentally better, my faith increased. So that's why that poem was like right away going, that got my attention. So I understood where you were kind of going there without a doubt. And that's the great thing about some of these poems. It's like in a few words, because you are a novelist, so you've written the long-term books and you understand this. This is a different way of writing.
Totally different.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was totally different because every word counts and you have to do some, it's not rhyming, but it's also just there's a rhythm that you don't pay attention to as much as a novelist is. And I actually worked with Veronique Manfredi.
Manfredi, okay.
And she is the bookish godmother on Instagram. She edited Monmouth University's literary magazine.
Oh, wow.
So I had her edit this because I knew nothing about poetry. And she further took some of these poems out that wouldn't work. And, back to faith, the reason I was kind of momentarily distracted here because
I understand.
There's one that I, if you don't mind, I'll read it.
Go right ahead, please do. Take center stage.
There was a situation where I went to Ireland and I visited my grandmother's grave, and you want to talk about faith, and this was really an intense emotional moment that I captured in a poem. And a little bit of backstory to it is when I'm coming home from after caring for my dad, I'm wondering like, what's happening here?
Yeah.
He's got late stage Parkinson's. When is this suffering going to end?
Right.
I'm sure God has a plan. That's when you really have to throw this into faith.
Yeah.
So this is what I wrote. Visiting Granny. At the setting of the sun, etched on your tombstone's Celtic cross, thy will be done. Granny, I'm at a loss. Driving home after caring for your son, Parkinson's wreaking havoc on his nerves, thinking of what Dad lost and disease has won, mourning the ending he deserves. Don't know what to pray for at the end of my rope. With Dad at death's door, Thy will be done gives me peace and hope. Etched on your tombstone, how can that be? So many visits I did not see. There you are watching over him and me from a Ballyglunin grave across the sea. And I say on the way home from caring for my dad, thy will be done. I'm just throwing this up to you, God, thy will be done. On my grandmother's tombstone, etched in there was thy will be done.
Oh, wow.
And I've been there 50 times and I never saw
Never
that.
noticed it, right.
And it was like, that's the message I needed
Right. At that moment.
to say like, okay, this, even seeing thy will be done etched on her tombstone was also part of the plan.
Now, give me a feeling you're doing the audiobook and you're reading that for the first time. How hard did that, because that hits you just you reading it like that. What about it when you did the audiobook and you're reading that for the first time?
I got choked up.
Yeah, I was about to say.
Totally choked up.
Right.
You know? And one of the things that I thought was really going to be great about this, I know we're going to get into this, but there's this book, but you and I have been on a journey.
Yeah.
And the way this book has transformed my life,
Right.
or the process of writing it has transformed my life, is that you're just doing a daily journal, something creative every day to take the temperature down off your stress.
There you go.
And as proud as I am of the weight loss, I'm equally proud that I was able to sort myself mentally. And I share this because most men don't talk about this.
No, we really don't.
We really don't.
And honestly, I was surprised that you said what you said about managing the stress, because I figured you're a writer. You're always having a cathartic moment in creating this stuff, and yet the stress was still there. So turning to the food, it was like, okay, so what you do in writing is not giving you the relief that you need. That had to be frustrating in so many levels.
Well, it was, but also it's just that, especially with the care of my parents and the increasing responsibility,
Right.
it got to the point where the writing was no longer enough. At one point it was enough.
Right.
And then as the stress escalated, the writing was
so the
serving
one,
at this level.
Right. So the one thing that you could count on suddenly is like, okay, why isn't this doing what it's done in the past?
Right.
Yeah. So it made you really have to dive deeper and kind of go, all right, what am I missing here?
Yeah. And one of the great moments of my weight loss was I went on this weight loss drug, and then I also went to my doctor and I said, by the way, anybody that's not in your 50s, this is what men talk about now, our doctor's appointments.
Yeah, pretty much. That is so true.
You know,
oh my God.
So welcome to our life if you're not of this age. Anyway, so I just went to the doctor and I just said, okay, we're going to put me on a weight loss drug.
Yeah.
We're also going to schedule 6 months from now bariatric surgery, because one way or another, this weight's coming off.
Okay.
And the proud moment that I had in the weight loss journey was to call the bariatric surgery and cancel the appointment because my BMI was below a certain level. And I was just swimming. I smell a chlorine right now. You just take my word for it unless you want to get close. But, it was that, it was just like, this is going to happen one way or another.
But you had to, and it goes back to the whole thing of faith. You had to have faith to say, I'm going to get this done.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think so many times I tried to lose weight, but I also didn't embrace it the way I did this time. It was almost like, unfortunately, at least for me, when you're kind of staring down, like going, you threw a word at me that just scared the living hell out of me. The last word you want to hear is aneurysm. You really don't want to hear that word.
You don't want to hear that.
No.
No.
And you go through that, and I'm happy I can joke about it a little bit more now.
Most isms you don't want to hear.
No, as you get older.
Aneurysm's the worst, but most isms, no.
No. You also learn as you're getting older, and this is another thing we'll talk about. It's like, so what can't you eat these days?
Yeah.
It's like, and I realize I can't. I don't want to open that door again, So it's like, I'm very cautious about anything. Like, I didn't realize going through this process that my sodium levels were like 5 times the norm. And I'm like, but I'm not adding salt. And the doctor's explaining, look at what you're eating. All those sports drinks you were drinking, not water, that was part of the killer.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's subtle things that we take for granted. And then suddenly you start adding it up and you're working with a nutritionist and you go, take a look at this. And you're going, oh.
But let's talk about the other thing that was a big saver for me, and I just want to ask you if the same for you.
Please.
It was like, you're Rob Acampora. You're a broadcasting legend. We talked about this in the last podcast.
Right.
Like, even though we're the same age,
Yeah.
you got your start above me. When I was spinning discs at WMCX radio,
Yeah.
you were at HDG.
Right.
You were already out there. You were a legend, and it was like so amazing. But you have stayed in that game even to this day. And, that takes an amount of discipline and drive, right?
Right.
And you could say the same thing about me with the creative or whatever else you want to say.
Correct.
But the point is that for me, it was like, all right, well, the guy that, like, I've done this 7 times. That's a hat trick most people can never do.
Absolutely.
So I thought to myself, what if the guy that did this showed up in for his health?
Smart. That's smart thinking.
That's
smart thinking.
Did you have that experience too, where you said, okay, the guy that's at the top echelon of broadcasting, what if that guy took his discipline and everything else that got him there and applied that over to this area of your life?
It took about a month. It was like after I came off the diuretics and really started to try to make the changes. It wasn't like it was happening right away, but then I started to really concentrate on how to change how I'm thinking, because it's like for years it was like
that's what I'm getting at.
Yeah. You had to get to a point of, okay, what do you know? Okay, you know this world, you've had success in it. Why have you had success in it? And that's kind of how I got to that point. So yes, absolutely, it did come into play.
Yeah, and that's the theme of this podcast, which is achieving your goals,
Yeah,
right? I mean,
absolutely.
it's definitely like, well, here's the guy doing that over there.
Right.
What if that guy showed up here and did it there, like in your finances or wherever else
Right,
that is?
exactly.
And that has been a great process. And again, I hope that there are men listening to this right now, because I'm also blessed that I have friends like Rob, and I have people like that in my life that I can have these conversations with. But I would also tell you that 2 books that I read that are so incremental to my health journey this year and this book was The Creative Act by Rick Rubin.
Yeah, I did notice that in the forefront, because I mean,
Holy God.
And Rick has been on a lot of podcasts over the last year or two.
Has his own podcast.
Yeah, he has his own. I mean, so of all people, but I've seen just him, like he was on Lewis Howes' podcast, and that was just mind-blowing what came out of that, and I took a lot out of it. So it doesn't surprise me that you would bring him up, but it was still kind of that, even I'm like, oh, Rick Rubin, wow, okay.
But The Creative Act, Rick Rubin, to me now exists as gospel. It's like scripture. It's like a gospel. Wow. It's one of those books like the Bible where no matter what page you land on, you'll get something out of it. It's the page that you were meant to see. So I think he's definitely that. And then Salika Jawad, who is actually married to John Batiste.
I know, but yeah, I know what you're talking about.
So his wife is a brilliant writer. She actually had stage 4 cancer, and she got diagnosed, and her treatments started the day he won the Grammys.
Oh my God.
And that's actually a documentary, by the way. It's a beautiful documentary produced by the Obamas. It's a beautiful story, but she journaled to get herself through the cancer journey that she was on. And I was thinking to myself, my God, if journaling helped that woman overcome cancer, it might be able to help me shed a few pounds.
There you go, exactly. And
just
come up with the surprise book of 2026.
Right, and I just thought, so I dedicated the book to both of them, because in different ways, listening to reading their books really changed my opinion of daily journaling and daily creativity. Now, we talked about men don't talk about this.
Right.
I've gotten a lot. I deal with a real wise-ass Irish crowd of people.
Yes, you do. On a fairly regular basis, I might add.
Some of these men have said everything from, does this book come with a free subscription to Grindr? That kind of stuff where you're like, okay, does it come with a tutu? And I love it, by the way. I love busting people's chops, and I love my chops being busted.
There you go.
But I think underneath that, even though it's very good-natured, we've got a ways to go before we can, as men sometimes say, it's okay to write down the feelings and the feels, even if you just write it down and throw it away and it's out of your body.
Right.
That is a practice that I think, not maybe for everybody, but at least try it to see if it would work for you. I publish mine.
Right.
You don't have to publish
You
yours.
don't have to hold it. It takes the pressure off a little
but
bit.
But really, when it's out of your body,
Right.
then it's out of you. And I think that's something that, maybe people might want to try, and maybe it won't work for you, but I think
it creates more of a movement on the broetry that we're talking about. Broetry in Motion is the book by Mike Farragher, MikeFarragher.com, where you can go buy the book. I highly recommend Prayers for My 60s. Definitely got to me as somebody like you approaching 60. By the way, we're only 24 days apart. I only found that out today when I was looking. I'm like, wait a minute, he's born in August? I've known him for how many years?
I'm slightly older than you.
Only slightly older.
Only slightly, I know.
It's just crazy.
You think about those things, right? I mean, you just think about...
More so now. I mean, when I turned 59, it was one thing. It was more like, all right. But as the days have been going on, it pops into my head a few times a day where it's like, oh my God, I'm turning 60. And then it's almost like, come on, bring it. I'm ready. Just bring 60.
Yeah.
Let's go.
And we don't look 60.
No, thank God. And
Do we, guys?
We don't. Come on.
Yeah, the engineer's just shaking. He's paid to say that.
Yeah, yeah, but if he were making bets, he'd be like, you would have lost that bet, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I'd never put you at 60.
Nah, no,
59.
Never. 59. And that's the thing, as we get older, and we see this with our generation, where it's like 49 and holding you hear a lot of.
Yeah, 49 and holding. 49 and holding, which is so funny. But, we work, I've been part of the Rat family where you work now.
Right, for a lot longer than I have, because I'm coming up on 4 years this summer, but you've been a part of it because Barbara was at the radio
Barbara
station.
opened the Rat with everybody that's there. And so anyway.
30 years, I can't believe I'm going to say this, 30 years ago this fall. 30 years ago, she was a part of it.
So my daughter is 29. She'll be 30 in February.
Oh, wow.
Barbara was pregnant.
Yes, that's right.
On the air with my daughter. So that was 30 years ago. So anyway, I just remember we had our kids, not early, but we had our kids in our 30s. And you had the other DJs that, like, when we were home, she was home nursing, these DJs would be out like, oh, we're partying with the Black Crows. And now it's so funny is that we're partying with the Black Crows. And all of the DJs at the Rat are like paying for colleges and they're going through all those things where, and some of them have much smaller kids and you're thinking, man, I paid my dues up front, but it's been great to grow old with the Rat people because it's been great.
Yeah, well, it's going to spur a question before you even get to random shots because, this summer's coming up and I know you're a music guy. Is there any concert you're getting excited about? Because we got Rat Fest with Godsmack and STP and Dorothy. David Lee Roth's coming to Asbury Park. See Here Now's always happened, and that's always, Mumford & Sons, the Goo Goo Dolls. Offspring, very interesting lineup going on for those.
Very interesting. Yeah. I thought that was a very interesting one, yeah.
Very balanced. Not a clear-cut headliner, but you sit there and go, there's 12 acts. You sit there and go, okay, so they were going for balance. At least that's the impression I got with See Here Now. But is there anything that's grabbed your attention and went, oh, okay, I gotta see this?
Here's what I'm going to see this summer.
Okay.
I'm going to see Goose.
All right.
Jam band.
Yeah.
My tastes are very varied. So
this is true. I do know his taste.
I'm going to see Goose, Jam Band in the Art Center. I'm going to see Lenny Kravitz down at the Arts down in Atlantic City.
Yeah.
But hear me out on this one.
Okay.
This one you're probably going to both of you are going to cough up a hairball, but I'm just going to say it.
All right.
Okay?
All right, I'm ready.
Harry Styles is coming to 30 different... all right, come on. Just hear me out.
No.
Hear me out on this. Hear me out.
I hate to say it. The guy's got talent. I'm admitting it.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute.
There's more. Wait.
In the 80s,
2
of my favorite albums, and I think a lot of people would agree, are Peter Gabriel's So
yes,
and
absolutely.
Us.
Yeah.
And then David Bowie's Let's Dance, because you had the creepy, weirdo, progressive prog rock guys found themselves into a pop lane, and they were able to put pop out that was really kind of left of center, like Sledgehammer. There was nothing else going on MTV like that.
And the funny thing is, if we look back on it, both artists were kind of looked at like, "Oh, we didn't see that coming."
We didn't see that coming.
Totally didn't see it coming.
And Harry Styles actually does a cover. He did it on Howard Stern of Sledgehammer.
I did
he
see
recorded his albums in Real World Studios, which is where Peter Gabriel does his.
Ooh.
And you could hear LCD Sound System, Bowie, Peter Gabriel on this new album. And the girls got me into it. That's what having daughters is about. And I'm like, all right, I'll listen. But then all of a sudden I'm like, this is actually... it's a total throwback to that eccentric pop that Bowie did in the 80s. Sometimes the 80s isn't always kind to David Bowie.
That's true.
But he also did like fashion. He did, and there's just a lot of like those squiggly, weird textures of pop that I'm always, if I am ever going to listen to pop, which is not often, I really look for things like that.
No,
so
that makes sense. Knowing your musical taste, that doesn't surprise
so,
me. Yeah.
So Lenny Kravitz, Goose. I might even do a yacht rock because that sometimes is fun. But that's just like throw on the yacht hat if you know, that's a game day decision.
Go all out on it.
Just go all out on it. But I also think that the See Here Now lineup is pretty good as well.
Yeah.
I've really. Also, Mike Campbell and the Dirty Heads are coming. So that's Tom Petty.
Yeah, absolutely.
The Dirty Heads album that he did the first one was amazing. So I'm digging some of that stuff as well. How about yourself?
Curiosity is going to get the better of me about Roth. I may stay for 4 songs and just hate it, but it's like I got
Chances are,
but I got to do it. That one is just kind of on the list.
I think that's the one. That's one of those ones where I'll go onto the boardwalk in Asbury and listen to it.
Maybe that's the best way to do it.
Maybe a Watermark.
Yeah,
I'll go upstairs to Watermark and just have a peek down and see how the old man
sounded. Look for us there. Buy us a drink.
We'll do that. Yes, we will. I'll be signing books there, by the way.
That's it. That's a smart idea. But yeah, I mean, I'll always walk around, See Here Now. I'm curious. I mean, I've known Johnny and Robbie, the Goo Goo Dolls, for too many years. I'm happy they're doing it.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, and Johnny now lives in Jersey. He's been living here for the last several years. So for him, it's like going, I'll just come from Westfield and just kind of come on.
Do you know the band Royal Blood?
Don't know.
They played that. Royal Blood, oh yeah, man. It's just
our engineer knows.
It's a bassist and a drummer, and they just are heavy and hard.
Ooh.
And Royal Blood was a highlight for me. Mm-hmm. Bruce Springsteen played what even Bruce is saying his quintessential show at last year's See Here Now. So See Here Now always comes away with a lot of memories. St. Paul and the Broken Bones, and just there's been so many. Nathaniel Ratcliffe
played 1 year. That's right.
He did an amazing Bruce cover. I think it was Atlantic City. I can't remember I think it was that. I'm not sure, but it's really expanded my musical palette to go and bump into those side stages that I kind of know something about that person, and then when you see them live, you fall in love with them.
There you go.
That's what I love about festivals.
It's a perfect way to segue in the random shots before we do that. Broetry in Motion is the book.
Look at you. I should have been doing that. You're doing the heavy lifting. I like it.
That's my job. Absolutely. Book appearances. You got one in Manasquan coming up in April.
I do, yeah. So April is actually National Poetry Month.
Yes.
So I have April 11th at Booktowne in Manasquan. And these independent bookstores do such amazing work to give books and stories to their local communities and support emerging authors. So I got that, and I got the Little Point Bookshop in Point Pleasant, which is it's going to be like at 11 a.m. on Saturday the 18th.
Okay.
I also do what's called a Rise and Write. So I'm inviting other aspiring writers to join. It's on Facebook, Rise and Write. You can come, and we just keep each other. We hold each other to account. It's like Weight Watchers with typewriters. We kind of like hold each other to account for our writing goals, which has been really great. So we're going to have a Rise and Write meeting. Then we're going to move to a book signing on the 18th.
Okay.
And then on the 28th, I think it is, it's a Tuesday, I'm actually going to be back to Booktowne with a bunch of other poets to round out the National Poetry Month. And I think that it'll be fun. It'll be fun to have these words breathe.
And the good thing about Booktowne is if you go down there, you can also go to, there's plenty of restaurants right nearby there in the heart of Manasquan. So it's like, come on, do the poetry, and then go grab happy hour somewhere nearby.
It's funny you should say that, because every time I usually do a book signing at Booktowne, I usually blow it at the Irish Rail down the blow. Like any you write me a check at the end and they're like, oh, here's your cut of it. I'm like, thanks. And then whoever's around, I'm like, hey, a drink's on me. So I never make money at Booktowne. I make money and then I instantly spend it at the end of the block at a beer. So, and speaking of, look at you with your whiskey. I love this.
This we brought out last time on our last podcast. If you want to know more about some of Mike's other books, go to my channel on YouTube. If you're watching it there, you can find the episode with Mike Farragher. We talk about all his other books. I did have Jameson's Black Barrel at the ready, so it's a perfect way to get ready before we do random shots. And
And speaking, while he's pouring that, by the way,
Yes.
if you want to see Jameson's being produced, come to Ireland and Dublin with us in October.
Thank you. Photo number 3. Please put
We
that
have photo
up.
number 3?
Yes.
Oh, look at that. There it is.
The Shamrockin' Tour. So this is an October trip that happens, between the 3rd and the 11th, if I remember correctly?
It does. We're going to Scotland, Edinburgh, and we're going to Northern Ireland and Dublin. Mm-hmm. And the way that the trip started was that I would post on Facebook every time I did a book tour, or I would do a film that got into one of the film festivals there. People would say to me in the comments, like, you look like you're really having a lot of fun in Ireland. If I was ever to go over there, I'd go with you. And then eventually enough people said that, and long story short, we got a bus, and 3 years later, we've had like 3 dozen people or 2 dozen people come to Ireland with us. And it's a great way for me to share my Irish culture.
Right.
And most people want to travel, but they don't know the local terrain, or making that trip over to Europe. You're like, I would really want to know. I would want to go with somebody that knows that area. Now, ever since I've done these Irish tours, people have said to me, take us to Italy. And I'm like, I'm not going to take you to Italy because I don't know Italy.
Right, of course.
But I do know Ireland. I've gotten to know Scotland, especially Edinburgh. So I'm super looking forward to this. I think we have, as of this recording, we would probably have 4 to 5 seats left. So we're almost sold out.
Very cool. So
and it's been great.
MikeGallagher.com. Visit the website. The prices are on there. You can get in on the trip.
Look at you selling for. I think I'm going to have to give you a commission. Mention A Shared Universe, or mention the A Game with Rob Acampora with your order, and I might have to buy this guy another Black Barrel something. But anyway, here we are with the Black Barrel.
Absolutely.
Sláinte, my friend.
Sláinte.
This is awesome.
Thank you. My pleasure. Please.
Cheers. And congratulations on your weight loss, your journey.
Thank you.
There's a vitality. The last time you and I saw each other was actually at a Halloween party.
Right.
And there was just an energy and a vitality coming off of you that I thought, good for him. And obviously because you have 90 less pounds, I saw like you walk different. You walk in and out of a room different. You just move quicker. You have a more grace. That's what happens when you lose weight.
It's true.
It actually hit me as I saw you, because you were working that night. Yeah. You were bopping around. I'm like, look at that guy. He's like an Energizer bunny. So cheers to you, man.
Thank you again.
Yeah, man.
Much appreciated. And absolutely. And this is the thing I say about Jameson's. This spoiled me. When Black Barrel came out, I tried it. I can't go back to the original Jameson's. I don't know about you. I just can't. This is just so much smoother for me.
I noticed a Jameson orange over there.
There's an orange over there. Now
I can switch to that to summer. That's like summer versus winter gas.
Right, but I want to give you credit. 3 years ago, you recommended to me try to get like a flavored seltzer, mix it with the orange. Oh, you are so right on that.
I'm glad you listened, because it's been great.
Yeah, that's a really good.
It served me well. Yeah.
All right, so random shots. This is the St. Patrick's season for the rest of the month. So obviously, everything's Irish, even the music. So I'm going to start with the obvious. Days of Ash got released by U2 on the EP. I'm sure you've heard some of the tracks. What's your feeling on the EP?
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. I just think that what I read from Bono was that he thought, we're working on an album, but these 6 songs needed to be heard now and drop them into the conversation.
Correct, because they're not going to fit the same theme of the album.
There's a song called The Tears of Things.
Yes.
I think that is one of the most brilliant songs I have heard of any band. And I know I'm biased because I'm a big U2 fan, but the lyrics and et cetera, et cetera. I think some of that album, it's called Ash Wednesday, the EP. Mm-hmm. It was released to be part of a political conversation, and a lot of people roll their eyes when they think about Bono and politics.
They do, and you can't help
all that stuff.
Yeah.
That said, there's a couple of things on there that, like the Tears of Things, that I thought, this really blew me away in terms of, it's a beautiful song, beautiful lyrics. It's done at such a high order.
Yeah. No,
the whole album.
I can't argue that. I mean, I'm about to say, lyrically, this may be Bono at his best, without a doubt.
It is, and I'm sure people, like I said, he dropped this Ash Wednesday to be part of a political conversation, and the other, one half of the country that supports the current administration will probably tune that off.
Exactly.
But I do think that's a mistake, because that's really amazing music.
I think the best thing I can say about it is, because again, I'm registered independent, have been since the mid '90s, and so I did it before it was fashionable. But I could sit there and say, I understand why you feel that way to the right, but at the same token, it's like you're missing out on something that is just People and artists will write about what they feel. This was his expression.
Yeah.
But it can't look, some of it comes across as just pure genius. It really does.
It does.
So,
and and that's it. So I think, I'm too enthusiastic. Thumbs up on that.
No, I agree with you. I had a feeling you were going to be there, but I wasn't sure. That's why I had to ask that question. Musically, because this is the St. Patrick's season, I do middays now on 105.5 WDHA, The Rock in New Jersey. I did a theme last week on the coffee break that was all about Irish songs. So I pulled out Whiskey in the Jar, but I did the Tin Lizzy version. Now, that song has been manipulated many different ways. I could bring out the Pogues version. I could bring out the Dubliners version. I could bring in the Tin Lizzy. Is there a favorite version of Whiskey in the Jar that comes to your mind?
I think that's one of those things where it's like, it's just chocolate. Chocolate in any variety is good. You know what I mean?
Right.
Metallica's Whiskey in the Jar is great.
Which takes to the Tin Lizzy version.
The Tin Lizzy version is great.
Yeah.
I don't think that's a hard song to mess up. I
really
think
is.
I've never heard it not. Whiskey in the Jar is just a great song.
Yeah. I felt like the Pogues took the Dubliners version and just kind of like, we're going to speed it up a little bit. We're going to put a little bit of rock into it. And I'm like they found the perfect blend to really make that song come home.
Yep. Yeah.
And again, you can't argue with the Pogues. Just Fairy Tale in New York. Thank you. God bless.
But I must say, for anybody that's listening here, I had the most amazing St. Patrick's Day for a lot of reasons this past St. Patrick's Day. But the cherry on the cake of it that night was seeing Foy Vance at Joe's Pub in New York City.
Oh,
and
nice.
For anybody that doesn't know Foy Vance, he is got this raspy soul voice that just brings you to your knees.
That's saying a lot.
And I got to see him front row, and it was just amazing. There is a lot of great music coming out of Ireland right now. Mm-hmm. Fontaine's DC, who's going to be at See Her Now.
Right.
They're amazing. Kingfisher's amazing. Amble, I think if I got that right. Mm-hmm. But there's a lot of things recently that I've added to the playlist of the stalwart whiskeys in the jar. I just think there's a lot of cool things coming out of Ireland right now.
Speaking of which, now I'm going to have the chance in the next month to have the drummer from the Cranberries come on.
Really?
Yeah, which is very cool. And the good thing about it is they're promoting the MTV Unplugged, which they never released before, so it's now finally available. Now, everything I heard, this is it. The Cranberries will not come back. They're not going to replace Dolores O'Riordan.
Good.
That's it. I was about to ask you, could you see anybody other than Dolores front this band?
Well, if you saw last week, Sombr, S-O-M-B-R,
yes,
he's a singer. He actually brought the Cranberries remaining, the Hogan brothers.
Yeah, the remaining members, yes.
And he did a good job. Mm-hmm. And there was some shade about it online, like, that's sacred ground and Dolores O'Riordan, he shouldn't have done that. But there's plenty of Sombr fans that I'm sure didn't know the Cranberries that might play that now.
Correct.
So there's a part of my brain that says, somebody like Sombr doing Cranberries and introducing an amazing song to a new audience should be supported. Yeah. That being said, if they went out with a Cranberries
name
tour and did, it'd have to be done a certain way. I wouldn't be supportive of them replacing or a Dolores O'Riordan hologram or something like that. I wouldn't want to see that.
Right.
I was able to see the Cranberries a couple of times. I interviewed them a couple of times.
I
interviewed Dolores a few times. Actually, during one of my visits to Ireland when I was a teenager, I apparently danced and, I won't say anything else. I danced, etc., with one of her sisters.
Oh, wow.
I didn't know that.
Wow.
So her family grew up not far away from where my grandmother's house was. So when I went over there to visit, I was mingling at the dances in this town called Hospital, which is in County Limerick. And
I didn't even know that
apparently in Hospital there was a big dance hall and they were there. So I think I might have been in the same room way back when with some of the O'Riordans, to include Dolores, but definitely her.
Right.
I remember her sister, but I didn't make the connection.
Right, and you were writing, was it The Irish Voice?
I wrote for The Irish Voice for 18 years.
Right, and you were doing music reviews, so this is where he gets his... You already had passion for music, but putting it to pen was a cool thing, which brings me to my next random shot. This is a quote that you got from probably one of the artists you did interview. Let's see if it rings a bell with you. If you worry about what people think art dies.
Oh, Bob Geldof.
Yeah.
That changed my life.
Yeah.
Because my first book was actually called Collared. Mm-hmm. It was a suspense novel set in the sex abuse scandals of the Catholic Church.
Right.
I wrote that because what I didn't realize at the time, but I realized later on, is that I was trying to process the fact that sexual abuse came to our door.
Right.
And I was nervous about coming forward with that.
Right. And you actually talked about that with Bob.
Talked about that with Bob, and that was his answer. Like, when you worry about that, art dies. And 9 months later, that book was out.
Right.
Because it just awoken.
Yeah. Does that interview, without a doubt, become like the shining moment from your time as a music reporter?
As a human being.
As a human being, even more.
As a human being.
There you go.
That really changed my life. I mean, the first thing that changed my life was that Debbie McGoldrick and Niall O'Dowd that run the New York Irish Voice at the time. It's now since gone out of print, but the fact that somebody believed in you enough to pay you to write, that's when you became a writer. So that was the first part of it. But then to be in front of Sinead O'Connor, I interviewed Joe Strummer 2 weeks before he died.
It's amazing.
It put me in such amazing places, but that Bob Geldof one, that transformed who I was as a human being. What he said made it safe for me to just talk my truth.
Yeah.
And also be very flippant about, I really believe, like even with Poetry in Motion, once you release it, it's no longer yours.
Right.
And then once you bought that, then it's no longer mine, and it's no longer my business what you think of it.
That's true. You made the transaction, so to speak.
That I got from, it's now yours.
Right.
And that's what I got out of what he said as well, is that art dies. So once you release it into the world, it's no longer yours. And, if you worried about what people thought of it, nothing good would be produced. It was that kind of a conversation with him.
Wow.
And I never forgot that.
Amen. Amen to that. Since we are talking about the Irish and we are doing random shots with Mike Farragher, and you can tell
I'm drinking up more than you are.
Yeah, I'm like going, this is starting to kick in. Thank you very much.
Because we're not as tolerant. A, because we're older, and B, we're thinner.
We've lost weight. Yeah, this goes.
There's not a lot to soak this up.
There really
you know what I'm
isn't.
saying?
You obviously, with your books, you're the master of Irish Catholic guilt. I have a mother who is turning 83 this year, and I still think she got her master's degree in it. Give me an example of, say, something recent. God bless your mom, but how does she lay the Irish Catholic guilt on you? Say something recent. Give me an example.
Well, every year we usually have this same thing. It's the getting your affairs in order thing. So my mom will say, I have some things to show you. And I'm like, okay, here we go, because I know what's coming. So she'll close the door of her room and she'll go, this is the dress. So there is a dry cleaning bag with a lavender dress. And she goes, this is the dress I want to be laid out in. And then she'll go through and she'll say, this is the mortuary card that, blah, blah, blah. And then she's even gone, because she's lost some weight, she goes, I've lost some weight, so if I have a turkey neck, could you put one of those Hermes scarves on me and keep that from people from seeing it? And then she'll always end that with, really like a growl. She goes, and if you get this wrong, I'll haunt you. I'll haunt you. So there's always that, I'll haunt you.
I'll haunt you,
is
right.
it, but I've said this on other podcasts and whatnot, but anytime my mom found contraband, be it whiskey bottles or a girly magazine or something that shouldn't have been in my room,
right,
it was always put on the pillow with the church confession schedule there. And then it was like, I already called the priest. He's expecting you. So there was always that, trying to manage manage you through guilt. Right. And I, to this day, I still don't have tattoos because I'm afraid of her.
I get it. By the way, we're in the middle of the Lenten season and Easter is coming up. Every Lent, I get the same speech from my mother. It's like going, don't forget, I don't want you to eat meat on Friday.
Yeah.
You won't do that. And if you do want to receive on Easter, I hope you are going to go to confession before Easter Vigil. I get that.
Or the other, like, Jesus died for your sins. The least you could do is not eat corned beef on a Friday. You're like, okay. It's a little bit of a difference between eating corned beef and getting nailed to a cross.
Yeah,
but
there's a
okay.
big difference there.
But that's definitely, and that is for sure some Irish guilt. But
no doubt.
The other Irish person that rings in my head this time of year, God rest her soul, was Sister Regina. And Sister Regina, my earliest memory was in kindergarten. Mm-hmm. And I was called down to the office. Would Mike Farragher come to the office? So I went in the intercom. I'm like, oh my God, I'm literally don't wet your pants, don't wet your pants. I'm in kindergarten.
Right.
And she leans down. She goes, are you Mike Farragher? And I said, I am. She goes, with a name like Farragher, you do not go to school on St. Patrick's Day. You do not go to work on St. Patrick's Day, but you will go to Mass. I've called your mother. She's taking you home. And I was like, whoa, so from that point forward,
right.
I've never gone to school. I've never gone to work on this last St. Patrick's Day. I took the day off.
The interesting thing about our culture is that there are wives' tales that their generation believed in. I'll give you a good example because you know the term Irish twins. And
yes.
It's like my aunt and my two cousins are 10 and a half months apart. Now, I should explain that my grandmother, God rest her soul, lived to be 93 and had this theory. Oh, darling, if you're breastfeeding, you can't get pregnant.
Oh.
You heard that one. Okay, yeah. I give my two cousins who are 10 and a half months. I give you my brother who's 12 and a half months younger than me. I'm like going, my father well behaved. I'm thinking my uncle must have jumped on my aunt in the hospital bed to have them been 10 and a half months apart. I mean, what
Seriously. There's that old joke, Hal Roach was a comedian from the 60s or 70s. He'd say, we always put my mom on a pedestal. We had to keep my father away from her. You know what I mean? Like, put her up on a shelf so she doesn't get pregnant again. You know?
No, but I'm sure you had one that popped up in your family like that. One of those, like, okay, it's not really real, but they really believed it.
Yeah. Well, it's also about, the archangels. I'm named Michael after the archangel.
Yeah.
And you always had saints and they were looking down on you. And my mom did something. I mean, I've been with my wife for 40 some odd years.
God bless you.
When my mom and dad were working and I'd bring my girlfriend, now wife, Barbara, into the house. And I was like, all right, it's time for a little hanky-panky. There was always like a holy water station at each door jamb.
Oh, no.
There's a Sacred Heart of Jesus picture in every room.
Oh, my God.
So it was like trying to have sex in a rectory.
Oh,
which, of course, some priests did, but that's a whole other podcast.
Yeah, really.
But what I'm saying is, like, it was actually, you'd be trying to get some froth going, and you'd be looking at, him with his sacred bleeding heart, and he's like, "Really?"
Right, and the froth is suddenly dry.
It was very effective birth control and keeping the hanky-panky from the house. So that's also something that my mom. It was actually backward. It was just genius, actually.
I gotta say that is true.
Genius.
I got two more in random shots. I'm gonna ask you to pick one of these actors. There's three Irish actors, and I'm even admitting this is not a fair question.
Go.
So you're like Colin Farrell, Brendan Gleeson, Cillian Murphy.
Well.
Oh, we're gonna get an answer. Right?
You're gonna get one because I have to tell you, Colin Farrell, and here's why. Did you see The Penguin on HBO?
Yes, I did. Was that not brilliant
God.
or what?
Yes.
Yes. Even my engineer's like going, yes.
The engineer's like, yeah, boy. Yeah.
But I actually saw recently for the first time.
The Penguin was like, I mean, if that's what DC Comics is going to morph into, I'm here for it because that Penguin was incredible.
Yeah, he did a great job. And what I saw recently on cable, I hadn't seen in a couple of years, The Banshees of Inisherin, and you sit there and go, as good as Brendan Gleeson was, you take Colin Farrell out of it, it doesn't work.
I didn't care for that movie, I must say. And I'm a big fan of Gleeson.
Right.
I'm a big fan of, but I thought that was I'm all for dark Irish humor, which, by the way. Too dark,
maybe?
Well, it was just, I don't know. I didn't get it. I wasn't it wasn't something that really spoke to me, but I do once a year produce with the Count Basie Theater. I produce an Irish-American comedy film fla.
Right.
And we bring over film from Ireland as well as comedians from Ireland, and it goes dark. And what has been so much fun is that I underestimated the appreciation an American audience would have for that dark Irish humor.
There you go.
I produce that in my films, and it's just fun. And I thought I didn't get that from Banshees of Inisherin. But yeah, The Penguin.
Yeah.
I I think I was 3 episodes in before my wife said, "That's Colin Farrell." That's
Yeah, she did. Yeah.
And she's a massive Colin Farrell. So she's like, "Are you kidding me?" She just started to walk around the room. She's like, "That's Colin Farrell." Like, kept coming back. I think he just totally disappeared in the character. It was amazing.
Oh, no doubt. Irish festivals. Now, I'm somebody who once drove up to Cooperstown to do a job, and I'm driving through, I guess, this area in New York where it's literally like
East Durham.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
I knew you'd figure this out.
East Durham.
So there's like, as you know, 20 to 30 miles, there are no lights in the town. But as I'm driving through, you have some of the cutest little places, and they're doing the Irish games out there. And then there's the
It's amazing.
Yes. Okay.
I had a lot of my childhood summers there.
Oh, wow.
And when the lights go out, it's nothing but a banjo and you know, babies got produced in those hills for sure. Because again, you know, it's the Irish. If I'm just breastfeeding, sure, nothing. Sure, if I'm breastfeeding, what could go wrong?
What could go wrong? Come on now.
But anyway, it was. But to this day, they do. I mean, the scene's not as big as it used to be, but they do a Catskills Arts Festival once a year where they do some good Irish music. And I've gone back there, and it was just such a flood of amazing memories of watching the Clancy brothers play up there.
Right.
And, oh my God, such amazing memories that I had, because what I loved about that, I hadn't been back in many, many years, but when I was going up there in the 70s, when you didn't have, we went up there because we didn't have money to go to Ireland.
Okay.
So in the years we didn't have money to go to Ireland, we'd save money and go there. So it was working class people going up there, having a shared Irish culture experience.
Like one side of the road, you're having the Irish games. The other side of the road, you're at the local pub having breakfast before you even went over there.
I went there, and I sat in the breakfast hall of Gavin's there, and there was, you know, a construction worker and his family, and Irish accent, and that tradition continues where it's a good family vacation regardless of the budget, and that's so necessary, especially when these Irish people that grew up on farms get dropped into Bayonne and Jersey City and New York City and the boroughs. It gives them a slice of home to go up in those mountains. It's been fun.
It gives me a chance to mention this. The Hudson Valley Irish Festival happens September 19th. I'm sure you're probably familiar.
I've done that. It's amazing.
That's what I'm looking at the photos and going, this is what a traditional Irish festival really is about, I guess.
So another thing that's happening as well is that I'm also part of the Irish American Writers and Artists Association, and we do a literary tent up there. So
cool.
So people that have books go up there, and as well as sometimes we read passages from our favorite Irish authors, and it's a really fun day out.
I was considering this for another reason.
Do it.
I know you know the lead singer of Black 47. I know Black 47's playing the festival, and I'm like, going, I haven't seen them in years, and I missed out on them coming around the area. And
Are they back?
Apparently, they're back for the festival.
No way.
Yeah.
I have to talk to Larry about it. Larry,
you better talk to Larry, because it popped up on his website, and I'm going, ooh, I may have to circle this.
Ooh, I might have to circle that.
Okay.
We might have to carpool up there together.
Right. And
but we'll leave this home, shall we? Because this is, you don't drink and drive.
No, absolutely. But best way to describe this, if you don't know Black 47, Funky Kaylee was sort of this cult classic hit from the early to mid 90s. They kind of graduated from being this just an Irish band. And I don't know if Larry ever felt really comfortable with the success that it had. It was almost like, yeah, okay, fine. You found one song, big deal.
Well, Larry and the Pogues also were transformative in my life because I hated Irish music as a kid.
Oh, wow.
I hated my culture as a kid because every time my dad tried to put on the Clancy Brothers, I would try to put on Kiss Alive 2 or the Ramones.
Of course.
So anytime we weren't listening to Kiss or the Ramones, I was angry because it was the Irish music and he paid the bills.
Right.
So anyway, or the Ramones or the Clash or blah, 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 blah.
By the way, if you follow him on social media, he's got a great hat that's emphasized the whole point between Irish and Kiss, which I think was brilliant, by the way.
So anyway, with what the Pogues did and what Larry Kerwin did was they mixed punk and Irish music.
Absolutely.
And interpreted the culture in a way I understood it.
There you go.
And then that led to me writing about it. So I wouldn't have been interested in my Irish culture if it wasn't for them swirling the Irish melody in with the block rock and beats and the punk and everything else like that. So, and I've said this to his face. I'll say this behind his back. I'll say this on the podcast. Larry has been an incredible mentor to me. And he he's that way for everybody. Like, he always has time for everybody that has
That's good to
any
hear.
stupid question about publishing or Broadway score writing. Right. Larry Kerwin is the man.
Was a big fan. Going back to my roots with a radio station called FM 106.3 WHDG, this song, it was such
Funky Kaylee. You never heard anything like it.
Right. And Funky Kaylee.
And you know who produced it? Rick Ocasek.
I forgot about that. Oh my God, that's right. Rick Ocasek at the Cars, who was producing a lot of bands in that time period. Yeah. So yeah, that's a very good point. And that song just became such a phenomenon for us. It really was like the most requested song for like 6 months of the year. It really just generated such energy and had everybody blown away. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
I figured that was kind of the perfect way to go out. Oh, by the way, there is an Irish festival in Jersey at Monmouth Park. I do want to bring up photo number, I think it's 4. Can we do that real quick? And I kind of noticed this. I'm like going, people dressing up as horses and riding, is this? I don't know if that's a traditional Irish thing. I'm just saying.
Well, I've never seen that, but I am seeing the logo of the Daughters of Ireland, and I actually have done a couple of book signings and some promotional events with them.
Oh, very
really
cool.
Great ladies. They have a Monmouth County chapter and a Union County chapter.
Nice.
And they actually do a number of fundraising events, and they do scholarships, and they do donations to other companies other organizations that escape me at the moment. But it's a great social event for the ladies, but it's also a way for them to give back, and shout out to the Daughters of Ireland. They've been very, very good to me.
Amen. And that date, by the way, is June 7th at Monmouth Park, so it's definitely...
But I know nothing about this riding a fake horse.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure on that. Mike, as we're wrapping up, once again, the book is Broetry in Motion. You can get it at MikeFarragher.com. See him in Manasquan. Give me the dates one more time.
So I'm going to be in Manasquan on, April...
Yeah, I know it's a couple Saturdays.
It's on the Booktowne website, booktowne.com.
There you go.
I'm going to be there twice.
I think it's the 12th.
The 12th of April, and then it's a Tuesday, the last Tuesday in April. I'm going to be there as well for a poetry night, like a poetry slam.
There you go.
I'm also going to be at McGee's Irish Coffee House across the street on the 18th. In the afternoon, we're going to do a little poetry slam there, and then also the Little Point Bookshop in Point Pleasant on the 18th in the morning at 11 a.m., part of our Rise and Write. And anybody that's a writer, or you think you might want to be one, or you want to try that out, like us on Facebook, Rise and Write. It's free. We just get together as a group and support each other. We celebrate each other's successes when they happen, and then we hold people to account onto your creative dreams. And it's very, very rewarding and fulfilling to be able to help somebody realize, a dream like this, which is a dream every time I get to release something like this.
Give me photo number 1 as we're going out, so this way people will see the photo. There you go.
Wow.
There you go.
Look at that.
Broetry.
But we're already drinking. We're drinking it in more ways than one.
More ways than one. Again, MikeFarragher.com. Go to the website and purchase the book. Thank you again, my friend.
I actually want to thank you because, we started a conversation a few years ago, but you're having such necessary conversations and you're really going deep with people. And I could tell as a broadcaster on the radio, you're always just have a few minutes maybe to talk to somebody.
It's
but
true.
This long form, it's just these really nice conversations that you have. Anybody that hasn't gone back and listened to Rob's podcast, they're really great. Very diverse group of people that you interview on all walks of life, and it's just fun.
Yeah, I mean, in the next month, it's like I'm going from, like I said, the drummer of the Cranberries to Karen Duffy from MTV. It's like,
oh my God,
yeah. Karen Duff was like,
who didn't have a crush on Duff?
Exactly.
I'm married. I'm off the market. Sorry, Duff, but I had a crush on you.
Funny story, and we're gonna get into it when I talk to her. She still has family in Jersey. I never knew she had family in Jersey. So things you find out.
There you go.
Mike, again, thank you so much.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. I'll be back in 2 weeks. Please sign up for my Facebook page. It won't cost you anything. You can find the other Mike Farragher episode that happened 3 years ago, which talks more about the other books that he has available, which you can purchase through his website. Until next time, I'm Rob Acampora. That's Mike Farragher. That's the A Game. We're out.
And that's it. Bye.
Absolutely. We got a bottle to finish.
All right.
Maybe.